Friends, an admission. Over the past couple of months, I may have gone a wee bit overboard by featuring one too many of these 500-plus horsepower somethings from the fine folks at Aufrecht, Mielche und Grossesbach. And in the process, perhaps I've maybe neglected the more pedestrian, if you could call it that, offerings from Daimler-Benz. So today we're going to fix that. Today we're going to look at a serial production car from Stuttgart, one with a folding top, but featuring a far more reasonable 400 or so horsepower. So if you guys can hear correctly over there, we are back in San Diego, now just across the water from Imperial Beach where all those helicopters were in the Hyundai episode. Let's just say I wasn't successful in doing the trade of the Hyundai for the helicopter, so I figured I'd come packing this time with more horsepower. And that is courtesy of a 4.7 liter V8 twin turbocharged, 449 horsepower, which comes in at 5,250 RPM. And this is the number I think the helicopter pilots are going to like. It is 516 pound-feet of torque, which comes in at a very low engine speed, 1,800 RPM, stays flat all the way up to 3,500 RPM. So I think if the helicopter guys are watching, I think this is a better trade, I really do. But wait, there's more before you consider my trade here. We've seen all this before, so let's put that aside. We've driven it in many other cars. But what we haven't seen before is this engine with the 9-speed transmission, which we drove in the GLE 450, the C450 AMG, and we will probably drive in many other Mercedes Benz cars to come, because I believe that is probably going to cascade throughout the line. So it is a 9-speed, obviously. They call it 9G-tronic, and it is a torque converter automatic. So now that we have an engine, which we already like somewhere else, now with a new transmission, which I would say did some magic on the GLE 450, does that magic apply here? So pulling power, or pushing power, however you want to slice and dice this, because this is a rear drive car, thankfully. We've driven this engine before. Actually, we've driven it quite a bit. We drove it in, well, first, the original version of this design of SL, like way back in what, January 2013. I can't believe it's over 3 years ago. Then the S550 or S500, depending on what part of the world you're in, and then most recently in the GLS 500 and 550. So we kind of know the pulling power, but this is a smaller car. I don't want to say lighter, but a smaller car that sits lower to the ground. So with that, let's put our foot into it. And we got oh wow, wait, Dave, hold on a minute. That was supposed to be comfort mode. Yeah, I didn't see that one coming at all. It's, the Germans, we pulled this trick in that X4 M40i, and that basic mode also was a bit of a surprise. But with that, I say we move up to sport, and let's put our foot into it, maybe a little bit more gently going around this turn here, because we got a horse crossing. Yes, any engineer can recalibrate the tuning to make it faster in certain modes, but really what you're feeling is more the force of twin turbos. But you and I aren't here for comfort or sport modes. We're here for Sport Plus mode, so shall we? We will go to Sport Plus, put our foot into it, and yeah. Let's just say there is, okay, that's when you start to feel a little bit of the weight, but we'll get to that in driving dynamics. But you know what? There is throttle mapping change, and you're getting more of the turbos, but I would call this weight be gone mode. Because what's happening is, yes, it's recalibrated throttle mapping, which makes the thing accelerate faster, like in sport mode, and it's a little bit sharper in Sport Plus. But really what's happening here is you're starting to feel that torque coming in at a low engine speed, where it's a little bit more lazy in comfort and sport modes, if you could even call it lazy. So what's happening is that torque is mitigating the weight of this vehicle. And let's not be coy about this. This is not a sports car. This is a full-on GT car, but one with quite a bit of gusto. So I have good news and I have bad news. The good news is the SL550 shares a lot of the same construction techniques that we discussed in the SL63 episode, meaning the body is aluminum, so it lowers the weight a little bit, and the construction techniques are more bonding and adhesives, taken from my beloved Lotus. And more good news, actually. That curve tilting function that we drove in the S65 Coupe, or if you're lucky enough to live overseas in an S63 two-wheel drive, you can get that fitted to an SL550. This is very exciting news. And basically what it does, it will let the car lean into turns up to 2.65 degrees, anywhere between 9 and 112 miles an hour. All very exciting. Now the bad news. More importantly to us, it's not fitted to this specific car here, sadly. Okay, if I see this correctly, there is a sharp hairpin turn coming, which is a great signpost for driving dynamics. So let's put our foot into this. Once again, we're in comfort mode, and oh, there's some lean. Oh yeah, there's definitely some lean there. And that lean, it's not the whole side of the vehicle, it's more onto the rear wheel, which we've experienced in other large rear-wheel drive cars together in these like dynamic modes on the lowest setting. So with that, let's go to the middle of the road setting and go to sport. So the throttle mapping changes again. Let's put our foot into it, go around this turn a little bit sharper. Please don't try this at home. Brake, 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 and then go in. Okay, you know, actually you don't feel really any roll back there now. Okay, let's try this again, but go around a little bit faster this time. Please don't tell the local constable. And, you know, you still have a little bit of that roll, but I'm noticing the steering more stiffens up, and it mitigates the roll in the back. That's all fine and good, but let's go to Sport Plus. And once again, the throttle mapping changes. We've got a perfect turn for it. The roll doesn't completely go away, but you know what happens is now all of a sudden the whole car is composed. And remember, this is a GT car. This isn't a sports car. It isn't designed to whip around corners as fast as we're going here, but here's the important thing. It doesn't embarrass itself. So if we go back to what we called Sport Plus in the throttle mapping discussion, that's the weight be gone mode. I would argue in driving dynamics, it's the thou not embarrass thyself mode. Yeah, that's it. So I will admit, I'm an old school soft top kind of a guy, but this is a hard top convertible, new school kind of world. Well, that presents new school kind of problems. And one of those problems is that divider thing. So when Mercedes Benz, they practically invented this whole transformer, presto, changeo, origami thing here with the SL many years ago, that divider thing, which effectively cuts your storage in half or more, is a safety thing so the top can actually go down and not crunch things. And I often wondered that the top is very cool and is the press of a button, even going at up to 25 miles an hour in this case. But if the thing is not in place, the divider, you got to get your butt out of the car, put the thing in, then get back in the car and hit the button, and it gets very annoying. So apparently, I am not the only person that has been wondering about this divider thing. There is the origami top, opens, here's the divider, and voila, it works itself. So you can take your luggage, load your luggage, hit the button here, which was borrowed from SUVs, but I can see the application in this case because you want to keep with the whole electric thing. Top goes down, divider goes down, and off you go. But I still want a soft top. Wow. Wow, I don't know if you guys can see it down there, but that is Lake Elsinore in Riverside County down there. And this is kind of the birthplace of the SL, if you really think about it, at least the convertible version of it. So we really can't have this discussion without talking about the interior, because most people buy these cars for the style and the interior. And this is no different. This is really a very nice place to be. But with that said, there aren't a hell of a lot of changes inside the car. Now this one's fitted with a Bang & Olufsen stereo in it. Now if I had my druthers, I'd much rather have, and God, that's a stunning view over there. But anyway, I digress. This one is fitted with a Bang & Olufsen stereo. If I had my druthers, I'd much rather have the Burmester stereo, because you look at the jewelry that is the speaker grills on the S-Class. I don't know why they didn't do it here. Other than that, this is a damn nice place to be, and once again, the view over there, I think I'm going to go enjoy the view and basically spend some time alone with my SL. So in summary, what do we got? Well, in a word, refinement. If you saw our GLE 450 episode or our C450 AMG Sport episode, whatever they're calling it now, C43, I'm very confused by the naming, it's the same refinement in those cars that's now here. And namely, that's the transmission. So going from what it was before to 9 speeds has basically taken this package, which, if I'm being honest, really didn't need that many changes, and that's all a huge function of the engine. Yeah, you want to make it more pretty, that's great, and the curve thing is very cool, but the reality of the situation is it's the engine that in this car, the S-Class, the GLS, mitigates almost 4,800 pounds, and really think about the dimensions of cars like these. So now with this transmission, it's basically taken that engine and made it more usable power in more usable places. Get it? Now with that, I want to put this off to the side and turn this around and leave you with a question, because now we've gone through a tech review of all 4 of the SLs. We've driven the SL63 together, and now we've driven this one. So the question I'm going to pose to you is, if you were going to get an SL, which one would it be? Would it be the SL400 or 450, the SL500 or 550, the SL63, or the SL65? And don't just say, well, I want the SL65 because it's the most power, or I want the SL63 because it's the fastest. Let me know which one, why you would choose it, make it a good reason, and which region of the world you live in. And for good measure, throw in what car you currently drive. Let me know in the comments below or via our social media, MotoManTV all in word, MotoManTV all in word, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And with that, I want to leave you with 2 things. Number 1, make sure you download our fancy new mobile application, which you can download for free at Apple iTunes and Google Play. And number 2, I believe this is the last SL we're driving for a while. If you want to see the SL65, let me know. Maybe we'll get that car and drive it in LA. But we have 2 very cool episodes that are now live at the show. There are 2 360 virtual reality episodes where we drove the Chevrolet Volt, and probably a little bit more exciting, the BMW M2 around Laguna Seca with 360 cameras, 5 of them to be exact. So make sure you check those out. Until I see you next time with a Mercedes, or not a Mercedes, bis später.